machine. She kept a motor clean.
You got it, dude. We should do like name that tune, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Also, I think for like episode 100, we should do a compilation of Rob's, just going at it. I mean,
yeah,
it would look really, really great.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people want to watch videos of me going at it.
Yeah, they do. You don't understand how popular that little bit is. Everybody wants Rob to do.
Everybody wants some.
Yeah. I want some too. There you go, man.
That's where that advertising banner should pop up right there. Like there. That's swag selling right there.
Yeah. Well, eventually.
I watched a band I like from Houston. Like lots of smaller local bands that are playing. They're obviously doing stuff from their front porch or in their living room, and they're broadcasting it live because they are not always can't be at a venue necessarily like they normally would. And I've seen a lot of them as they're like doing live streaming either on Facebook or YouTube, have a little streaming thing like you were saying on the bottom with their Venmo number or I forgot what the other one is. Anyway, the tip jar, the whatever, because they're suffering, not getting paid,
Yeah. I know a lot of musician friends who are struggling big time.
It's tough stuff.
We're all comfortable in our homes here in whatever middle class America or whatever class we are, and the rest of the country is
middle Barcelona.
Yeah, middle Barcelona.
Yeah.
And,
we're getting into a new lockdown,
tough.
so
very, very tough for them.
Are you going into a new lockdown?
Yeah. Today, all the restaurants and bars must be closed for the next 15 days. So,
yeah. And the Netherlands started last night at 10 o'clock. If not tonight at 10, either or.
Well, it's just getting really, really bad. I don't know. Well, we'll have to do a follow-up on the COVID. That was our first episode, right? We'll have to do a follow-up on that. Maybe that's what we'll do next week. All the things that we were saying we should have done that we didn't do, and what is it that we can do now to maybe make things a little bit better. I mean, I generally think it's too late for a lot of countries. They just let this thing go out of control. But anyways, today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about iPhone, and Rob's just going to completely trash the event from yesterday, right? Isn't that what the plan was, Mr. Hacker Dude?
I just like it when the guy from La Jolla says Middle America.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. We cannot hear the waves of the Pacific Ocean crash upon our properties, Leonard.
He just got back from surfing.
I got that wrong.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff Spicoli.
Yeah. That's you, dude.
I'm Mr. Robot today.
Yeah.
So do we think that big day for Apple and may I say Verizon yesterday, right?
Oh, you mean the Verizon event yesterday that happened to also have Apple there?
Yeah, I think Verizon CEO allowed Tim Cook to come on stage to say a few words about a device. Yeah.
The Ericsson CEO, Hans Vestberg?
Previous CEO.
Right.
Previous.
Yes.
But so what are the implications of this launch in the context of IoT? Because that is what we talk about. This is not a handset conversation for us.
It could be.
It could be. Well, I'll leave it up to you guys. How do you guys want to start it? But I'm going to say that. How does this impact IoT?
Well, it's going to make the 5G networks
real.
A little bit more real. Yeah, I mean, he said now it's real. No, not really. If you go and you do field tests of service quality out there, it doesn't matter what any of these guys say. The fact of the matter is that the service is not of the quality that will meet expectations that have been set by the marketing groups, right? I mean,
So it's the chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, yesterday, there is more 5G coverage than the day before.
Right. And then, the thing is with Apple introducing the 5G iPhone, I mean, that's what the industry needs.
Yeah.
With each of these new network generations, it's really Apple that's been driving pretty much the adoption, whether it's measured in subscriptions or new applications that are developed. They're the 50,000 ton gorilla that can make stuff happen, and they make it happen in a lot of different ways. But like what we were talking about earlier, Mark, you mentioned some of the stuff that they do with IoT, especially on the consumer side. I mean, think about all the stuff that they can pull through now that they have a 5G phone. They'll start to proliferate 5G connectivity throughout their portfolio. And that has massive benefit for the operators.
Massive MIMO.
Huh? Yeah,
massive MIMO.
Yeah,
you know what? I can take off my hacker hat for a moment and put on my marketing hat and talk about the significance of 5G on the iPhone. We all, us jaded
Robbie
folks. Huh?
Robbie Wan Kenobi?
Yes, Robbie Wan Kenobi. Yes. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. If I'm putting on my Jim Cramer stock guy here, 5G on the iPhone was priced in a long, long time ago. That they're the very last to the party with 5G. That being said, from a marketing perspective, yes, when they say it's now real because the iPhone has it, I totally get it. It doesn't mean it's right. Where's all the love for Qualcomm? There was that whole event. I watch all their events. They're brilliant marketers, no doubt about it. And they put on a show. As I was watching all the different things they did and all the intricate, magical things they talked about that they did, getting 5G ready and all the phone, I'm sitting there going, it's all the same stuff that everybody else is doing. So I've been a long time iPhone user after I had to leave Windows Phone that I invented. But recently I grabbed a hold of this cool, Samsung Ultra Galaxy 5G device. It's got the latest Qualcomm silicon in it, and their latest module. And that latest stuff is now back in the iPhone again. Now that remember, because this is all part of legal stuff. Remember, they had to settle all the lawsuits. That's why the last iPhone was using Intel modules, right? Instead of Qualcomm. Now you've got Qualcomm back in the iPhone. As I walk through all they do a great job of telling you how magical it is, everything they did with the operators and everything they did in the labs. But it is all the exact same stuff that's in like this latest Qualcomm 865 Plus module that's in this device and lots of other devices too. How they roam, how they change to LTE, how they do all that stuff. My quick takeaway, to be Mr. Jaded here, was the 5G was priced in, so they oversold 5G as if no one knew that was going to happen. But maybe lots of people didn't know, so I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. But what we were waiting for, and we knew they were going to get a new bionic chip that was going to be 50% faster than the last one. That's great. But what we were waiting for was some magical new thing to happen with their camera. Or at least that's what I was waiting for. I know that sounds strange. How did I evolve to care about cameras so much? But as I have learned from the peeps out there in the world, people are now buying cameras that happen to be a phone, that actually are not much of a phone. They're actually a computer and a web browser and an app execution engine. And when I saw that even the most high-end iPhone 12 Max Pro was still just 3 12-megapixel cameras, they didn't do much with optical, I was shattered. I really was. That's where they had to make the big leap this year. they've been poking along, and everybody has admittedly been poking along now. I hate when they say telephoto and it's 2x optical zoom. It's like, really? Give me a break. So, Samsung really jumped ahead this year. 5x optical zoom, 108 megapixel camera. It's the best pictures I've ever taken in my life. I can't tell you. And it's not just me. It's people saying, oh, my God, it's incredible. And so I knew Apple had to up its game in the camera department. I feel like they didn't. And I felt disappointed. I was ready to have regret and buyer's remorse. And I walked away not having that buyer's remorse after all. So I guess I'll be waiting for the 12S.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the thing about Apple. They've never competed on specs, and they've always done an exceptional job of competing, if not leapfrogging other companies. And yeah, we just have to remember they pretty much started this last wave of camera innovation, if you will, right? So, you still have to get it in your hands and see what they've done with the computational photography and the video stuff and the audio and so,
8K video, baby.
8K video? Yeah, for how many 8K TVs out there?
All 5 of them.
So is this a good spot to ask the question of who cares? I mean, isn't every person who loves Apple for good or bad reason, but they're used to their integration and how it works, and it's just like, no, I'm going to buy the next Apple device because whatever it is, it has 2 things that are better than my last device, and I don't know, that's okay.
But then this opens a question: if I want to build an IoT project, why I should care about 5G?
Let's get back on track. Thanks, Mark. So two things come to mind. Rob, now that we were off track, and it's okay to short Apple today.
I'm all about being off track.
He's just being the wizard of IoT.
So the 2 things that come to mind is that with yesterday's news, and now there's more 5G coverage, but there's also, now you have these, Qualcomm again. It's like, hey, we make the stuff that makes this thing communicate. So, this is one of the signals to the market that hopefully now not only starts the development of 5G IoT hardware, devices, etc., but hopefully we've seen the peak of the pricing for that hardware, and maybe as of tomorrow, it starts coming a bit down, because Apple, whether we like it or not, is going to scale that internal hardware for comms, which could be redesigned for IoT. So that's good news for IoT. Who's excited about it today? Well, look, what are the use cases that really necessitate the specs that 5G has to offer? Those truly low latency, high throughput, massive bandwidth. But these folks have been working on this for some time now. I mean, you talk to any automotive OEM, you talk to any maker of autonomous forklifts or guided vehicles or whatever, they've been working on this stuff. So, maybe it's a bit of validation. But I just think, going back to CDMA, we just always seen more adoption when hardware prices start to come down. So I don't know. That's how I see it. So I think it's good that this is 5G device by Apple, and there was this big announcement by Verizon for more coverage. That is all but healthy for the IoT side.
Could you tell us more about this new coverage from Verizon, by the way?
In my capacity of being David Vasquez, just on my personal thing, I can tell you what's publicly available. And it seems that there's more coverage yesterday than the day before. And whoever wants the details could use their preferred browser, whether that's Google or Netscape, and find out all these details about what's available. Big smile.
He has no idea, folks.
Don't you ask me
break out Netscape Navigator and find out.
Yeah. I mean, other than giving operators some hope about, maybe jacking up their ARPUs, for 5G to pay for all the investment, and then maybe even investing more in building out the network, expanding coverage. You know,
investment in who? The people that make the gear, Robbie. Throwing it right back to you.
It's on like Donkey Kong, man.
Yeah.
5G factory in Texas.
Yeah, they're the one throat to choke if none of this stuff works out, right? But you know, Apple. That's what Apple does. Apple has a scale. You know, what is they have the 5G antennas in the 12 as well as the Pro line, right? So, you know, they're going premium mid range with their lineup for 5G this year, and the next year we're probably going to see a predominantly 5G lineup, and it's all going to support millimeter wave. Quite honestly, I thought maybe the 12 would be sub 6, but they went full on millimeter wave. So it's a bit now there's hope for millimeter wave because you're going to definitely have a pretty large number of subscribers out there who have devices that can capitalize on millimeter wave.
And they went full on 120 hertz. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh.
What? Oh, you mean with the screen?
Yeah. They pulled the plug on that one. I guess they couldn't get the battery life good enough.
You're holding it wrong.
Yeah, you're holding it wrong, dude.
Yeah.
But we're going to give everybody a free case.
He's today he's the iPhone Bandit.
Yes. You know, another and this is it's really an IoT adjacency, but for all the missing reality, pun intended, of in-factory augmented reality, you know, I think this should also have an impact if you have you know, so much computation on these phones that, you know, maybe the way to do it at scale is to leverage a device, you know, like an iPhone, to do some, you know, superimposed imagery, you know, on the I always think of you know, on the industrial side that might not necessitate, you know, a headset that, you know, continues to be tethered, or, you know, we're not magic leaping to reality anytime soon.
Yeah, well, you know, that whole LiDAR thing is a big deal, right? So they did that demo or that presentation on what Medtronic's did in their production line design, right? What they did is they scanned an empty space, got the exact dimensions using the iPhone's LiDAR system, and then basically creating an exact quote unquote digital twin of the room, or at least the space, which then they could then place objects in and then play around with different types of configurations. And, you know, they were able to do it very rapidly. So I think that was a great example of using at least that device to enable certain aspects of an IoT application, right?
And so, you know, I missed that part of the demo. I'm going to go back and look at it.
Yeah, take a look at it again. It's pretty cool.
It makes me... Well, no, it makes me wonder. So again, clear disclosure, haven't seen the demo, but heard the description from Leonard. And I wonder how good it is if we were to ask the folks that are doing surveys before deploying AGVs in a factory, the folks that are doing, you know, in office, you know, that thing that we used to go back to, you know, last year, you know, in office reconfigurations, or the sorts of things that we've been using, you know, building modeling and CAD for years. I wonder what those guys think, because again, this is not new.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it sounds cool. Yeah, I can just do it here and it gives me the same results. That'd be, I don't know. I'm going to walk away with that question.
Yeah, think about it. If you have you're in a brownfield environment and you want to characterize a piece of equipment and you want to 3D scan it, what are you going to do? Like lift the whole thing up and then take it to some location to have and put it in a 3D scanner, break it apart. Well, what about use one of these things and then scan the device and then, you know, start loading, you know, characterizing it and then hydrating it as a digital twin, you know?
What does Leica have to say about this?
You know what I'm saying? You know? So...
But we are pretty bad as industry if we have to put an iPhone 12 or several iPhone 12 on each robot of the factories because it's the cheapest way to connect them. What is this?
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the iPhone 12. We have a metal band that's wrapped around the edges, and we put the antenna in there. It's genius. No one ever thought of this. It's a whole new design. And you're holding it wrong.
You know, I wish like Steve Jobs could just reach behind the grave and just touch you for a second, Rob.
I know. I get that. I totally get that.
But actually, that brings me to very good old memories in 2007 when Steve Jobs presented the iPhone, the first iPhone. And Arduino, I think, was presented in 2005. We had like the Nike Plus step counter. So it was like the initial IoT movement with a lot of startups starting at that moment, connecting things to the internet. First, I think Nest appears just after the first iPhone. I think it was like a great milestone for the history. To have that phone that pushed, for example, Android to appear in a couple of years later, and to move the industry of the IoT to happen. Yeah. What do you think?
And it also pushed ARM.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which was, I mean, if you think about where ARM is today, with billions and billions of devices shipped using their chip IP. Semiconductor IP. It's pretty amazing, right? And a lot of that was driven off of smartphones, and which company really drove the adoption of ARM architectures in smartphones and has really pushed the architecture to where it is today. It's Apple. As much as, you know, as much shit as you want to talk about Apple being this and that and not that, you know, the fact of the matter is this company friggin' push the envelope of everything. They still are, you know, and that I think was probably one of the biggest outcomes of the iPhone. Introduction to the iPhone and the ongoing evolution of iPhone, you know. I
really want someone just to say, when the smartphone was invented, when the iPhone was launched, if I could just get someone to say that.
No way. No way.
Everybody says that all the time.
No, they just did it right.
Well, there's the uninformed and the ill-informed.
Well, I mean, think about all the people who talk shit about everything that they did, from the touch screen to whatever, you know. Then, you know, it started to catch on, and then you saw RIM introduce the Storm. Do you remember the Storm?
I do.
Yes, with that. It wasn't quite haptic feedback, but it felt like the whole thing would sink in. I still have a few of those.
You know, I mean,
I love the keyboard, the real keyboard. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a reason why those were so popular. I don't think we've ever...
That was the only one in the market?
No, not that one, but just BlackBerries in general and Windows mobile devices, like from Samsung and others, where they had the keyboard on the front.
Yeah.
People got really good at cranking out emails really fast on those.
Yeah, that's true. Motorola Q.
But then they got really good at the virtual keyboards too, right? So, I mean, you know, the field is littered with people who are wrong about Apple. I'm sorry. You know, it's just a fact. It's just a fact. I mean, think about all those headlines back in the day talking about how Apple is doing this wrong and that wrong, and, you know, all these critics that ended up being completely wrong about everything, you know. So, but, you know, going back to what what the iPhone brought around, yeah, I think ARM is enabling ARM and helping them build out the ecosystem that they have today is a really huge thing.
It also helped with iteration. The Mark mentioned the Nike step counter. So first generation, you had a Bluetooth, probably version 1, a Bluetooth puck that will go on the sole of your right foot or right shoe, which will speak to an app on the iPhone, right? That was
iPod,
actually.
iPod, yes. It would also do that, yes.
That's
right. That was then the iteration of that. Someone will keep me honest here, but after that, then came the Nike Fuel Band, where they removed the sensor from the shoe. Now it's in your wrist, but still talks to the iPod or the iPhone device, right? And so now they're in the hardware game. Then it's like, wow, this is great. Let's license it. Then Garmin comes out with Garmin integrated with Nike, and now they've got that game. And then they're like, okay, we're out of the hardware game. Boom, it's all an app. And it's been Nike run on your smartphone ever since, because, they proved out that, the application was good. And for the past few years, for this app now, if you guys check it out, it's got a lot of content for that community. But they're completely out of the hardware game, with the exception of doing APIs with Strava, with Garmin, I think Sunto, and those, but it started with little piece of hardware speaking via Bluetooth to a device. And anyway, I think this maybe wouldn't have been possible without also then the adoption of this that held my music, and I could visualize what was on that puck. That was my HMI right there.
Wow, he just said HMI to people.
Sorry.
Talking about Apple.
Human machine interface.
You know what? I totally missed the Fuel Band. That thing was gorgeous.
Yeah.
All the little lights on it and everything.
Yeah.
That was so cool. Are you making a point here? Maybe there's some kind of message under the idea of it.
No message.
No, maybe, but they may not be the only one who went down this path where they built their own custom hardware. And then at some point, they realized that it was the software and the APIs, and a licensing deal might be the better way to go for them monetarily, and to scale.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not everybody gets to win in the hardware game, right?
Think about it. The Android universe, there's no profit. Apple takes all the profit.
There's no profit.
I mean, it's not a profitable game. I think a lot of the device manufacturers, they jump into this game with this illusion that they're going to make Apple profits, and no, Apple is much more than the device, right? Which seems to be a mystery to a lot of folks who don't understand that Apple's really a solutions company, and of course they don't understand what that means.
David, should we embed the iPhone 12 into Forklifts?
You know what? It happened. Did you see what they did with the drone? They stuck the iPhone on the little drone and they use it as the camera.
I mean, the fact that it's got the LiDAR, you were talking about how it scanned the room.
Yeah.
When you talk about AGVs and stuff like that, and being able to, because some people use LiDAR. Elon Musk laughs at those people. And but yes, I can imagine mounting the iPhone 12 on the front of a autonomous forklift, and it's scanning the whole time to make sure it doesn't hit anything.
I mean, think about what Intel had the what do you call it? The RealSense. I think it's the RealSense computer. It's the 3D camera. They had that thing.
I remember when that acquisition happened. You're right.
But the assembly was really big, right? It's hard to shrink that thing down to something that you could fit into a smartphone, or at least I think. And so I think that's one of the big things about what Apple is doing is they're putting a lot of different types of sensors, new types of sensors into the smartphone. I mean, your phone doesn't have LiDAR on it, right? Does it have a LiDAR?
It's using lasers instead.
Yeah, but it doesn't have LiDAR. It's not.
No. I mean, but the reason they use LiDAR is the same reason Samsung's using lasers. It's range finding really fast for quick focus for your camera.
Yeah, but what Apple's doing is a lot more, right, with LiDAR. And so that's where you might be disappointed and get buyer's remorse when you see that they're using LiDAR in a really interesting way that expands what you can do with a smartphone camera, which is really what they were getting at.
To comment on the forklift bit, and then I'll preface it with this, without plugging Apple here or any, hinting messages. I think the question, who needs to answer the questions are the folks that are manufacturing forklifts today. According to OSHA, the majority of injuries in industry are because of material handling, which includes these forklifts and such. So if there's an OEM out there that hasn't thought about this and they think, hey, let's test by strapping 4 iPhones to this thing to then develop something for the machine that we as domain experts could validate, I am happy for them. But
boom.
Happy for them, right? But that's it. But for me to answer should we strap a device to that machine, I'm going to look to that machine domain expert who's probably been doing this for 25 years to get the answer. But if this helps with experimentation, it's good, man.
As long as it follows Obi-Wan's law of IoT BOM cost to cost of the whole device. So on a forklift, yes, you could maybe afford to put an iPhone 12 right in that sucker. But if it's your IoT coffee pot, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
My law, is usually the whole cost of every IoT compute, module, storage, everything needs to be way lower than 1% of the cost of the total thing, the device, whatever it happens to be. So forklift, a car, all kinds of big things. Yeah, you could put an iPhone. Coffee pot, toaster, maybe not so much.
Yeah, but you know what? The other thing that I think this new iPhone and what Apple's been doing with these phones by loading them up with new types of sensors is that you're building applications on top of that hardware functionality, right? And also, you're going to see these technologies eventually make it to some of their other products, whether it's the Apple Watch or the HomePod or whatever, and so that'll eventually lower the cost of these new sensor devices, and then you'll see a lot of the slow followers start to pick up these technologies as well, like Samsung and Oppo and all these other guys that are trying to figure out, well, how do we incorporate these expensive sensors into our devices without...
Leonard's just been banned from South Korea.
I know,
you just called them slow followers.
Korean. No, they're fast.
No bueno, dude.
I'm just trying to trigger you, dude.
I thought I was going to see you in Seoul, but I guess not.
But wait, didn't everyone in
South Incheon
Korea,
Airport for you?
Didn't everyone just go back to 4G the other day? Like bunch of 5G trials ended, and people just chose just give me 4G.
Yes, I saw that news. You're right. In Korea, and I thought it was fake news.
No, it's
because I was in Singapore for the last Bridge Alliance event, and the guys from SK Telecom and they said people are loving it, and they were showing how Korea leads the world. And how people are on subways deep underground with 5G streaming insane videos on the subway in Seoul, and that was they're the bleeding edge of what's possible with 5G. And so that's all I've heard. And so I was really surprised to hear they're like, nah, we don't like it.
I don't know if it's that they don't like it. Their LTE is ridiculous. I mean, you've been to Seoul, right?
LTE is awesome.
They could probably get like a gigabit on LTE.
Absolutely. Absolutely you can.
Really sick. I mean, and see, that's what I don't get it about, Hans yesterday talking about how, Verizon has the fastest network in the world. It's like, no, you don't. All I have to do is land in Seoul And my speed, what was that? Speed test doesn't even know what to do with the speed. I remember, 10 years ago when I landed in Seoul, this is back in the early 4G days, and running the speed test, it was just off the charts, in Seoul.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Let me give my 5 cents about what you have been mentioned. So I love the vision of David that I also agree with you that every IoT project needs uptake. So that's really important. If you want to attach an iPhone to a forklift, we will need some duct tape there.
Duct tape.
Little duct tape, yeah. You'll duck it.
On the other hand, I also agree that it will be good for the industry that the LiDAR sensors will decrease the price.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't buy this Qualcomm. So no, this thing that you mentioned before that the 5G modules or modems will decrease the price. I mean that's going to happen, no? Because there will be some scalability on making these modems. But on the other hand, that will slow down some projects or stop some projects until this price will get there. So that's one of the things that actually I hated in the past with the telcos, saying, no, wait till next year that we will have that modem at that price or that technology available. And I would say, why we cannot stop for a bit all these technologies? Let's make it happen. Let's make the business happen on the IoT, on the digitalization, on digital twins, etc. And let's then help the companies to iterate to the next version, maybe. But
let me go out and let me defend the telcos for the first time here on episode 21 or
for the first time ever.
22.
For the first time. So if
this was not an attack to telcos.
No. It's just
I didn't want to attack any.
Don't get us wrong. We like that. Go ahead and attack each other.
No, let's
each other's eyes
wasn't an
out.
It's good for our ratings. We need to have lots more of attacking. It's got to be like having a conservative person on The View.
Yeah.
Today I cannot attack with Obi-Wan Kenobi on the street.
Yeah, you started calling out names, but so from a traditional telco perspective, in respect of getting modems and boards certified to work on various networks, something that's you got to believe is a challenge is that you have a lot of brands coming like, hey, I need to get my stuff certified, right? Like, and we know the names, right? We know all, from system on chip down to, all the way up to completed modems and communication boards and such. But let's be honest, what telco has visibility on an actual project that brand has to decide whether they should accelerate something or not, or they should help in terms of scalability. So that could, that's a challenge and an opportunity, because if I have brand X that has an opportunity of whatever, and for use case X, well, who else wants to do this? And is that an opportunity to just partner to accelerate one piece of hardware that, hey, I'm certifying this thing on my network, so all these connections are going to come back to me, but we don't, we don't see that. Anyway, that was my comment, because from a volume perspective, it's always tied to a smartphone. That's the reality, right? It's all, we get it that IoT could be in the millions, billions, whatever, but when it comes to modems, is who's going to put it on a smartphone because I want that $30, $40, $50 ARPU, not that 20, 30, 40 cent ARPU. Anyway, that's where my head went to, Mark. And I'll give it back to you with a question, Mark, for later. From who's that?
This is Leonard in La Jolla, like in the morning after he comes back from surfing, and he goes into the convenience store to get a coffee. He's like, "Dude, you worked at All American Burger." Anyway.
Wow, and that Colt 45 is that an alcoholic beverage or a firearm reference? I'm seriously asking.
It's both. It's
both.
alcohol. Yeah.
Okay.
But remember, Spicoli blew the reward money
Oh yeah.
on having Van Halen play his birthday to tie it back to Eddie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But Mark, from a user experience, so if you have a user that has a fleet of IoT devices, and this user is consuming data from a mobile device, do you, as a developer, do you see any advantage to the end user experience by having, I don't know, a 2 gig of speed at the smartphone level versus, I don't know, 50 megs, or is there a difference in your opinion to the user experience that they would notice?
It depends on the use case, of course. Yeah, if you need real time, that's one story. If you don't need it, yeah, that's another. So, of course, on the autonomous cars, so maybe it makes a difference. I'm not sure. Haven't tried the 5G yet, but actually I had more experience with NB-IoT than 5G in the past. But yeah, I didn't see first lack of coverage. It's what we talk I think on previous episodes about 5G. But yeah, it's too much marketing, too less.
Well, I mean, you have to remember 5G is a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. It's fundamentally a massive transformation of the mobile wireless networks, and even going beyond conventional notions of what the mobile wireless network is, or the network is. So, and quite honestly, latency sucks. I mean, if you look at any of the speed tests, you just go and Google them. You have like multiple gigabits or 1.5 gigabits up. Download speeds, and then you have like 10, 20 megabytes uplink speed, which is horrible. I don't even know why they try to show that off. And then you look at the ping, and it's like 30 milliseconds or something horrible like that. So there's a lot of fine tuning that has to happen before you even get the benefit of low latency, and you're not going to have it out in the wild. In all likelihood, all that low latency stuff is going to be within private networks and very meticulously architected wireless, network deployments. It's just going to be really tough for the operators to deploy URLLC, or ultra reliable low latency communications out in the wild. It's just,
I think a lot of people.
Huh?
I think a lot of people don't realize that the secret to a great wireless network is wires.
Wireless is not
fiber.
Fiber is the best, yeah.
Because what happens when you're doing speed tests? You're not doing speed tests to the tower, and it's not talking to the base station. It's going to the tower, going down, and going onto the backhaul network, and that's what kills everything. Is you've lost control. You're out on the open internet or whatever, and so that fiber infrastructure. How many times I remember my son saying to me, he's holding up his phone and it says LTE and has like 5 bars on it, and but the performance is barely moving. And it's like, wow, Dad, sometimes LTE is just 3 letters. It's meaningless. And I'm like, well, the reason it sucks is because the backhaul network sucks. And so you got great connectivity and speed to the tower, but as soon as you hit the ground where wires take over, unless you're doing microwave repeaters, then, there's bottlenecks everywhere that all have to be cleared, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a big job.
Or pipes that need to be expanded.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the pipes are already under the ground.
Yes.
But it's funny, Rob, and by we, I mean us, you and I, not personally, but our crews. I know that there was an integrated access backhaul test that was completed recently. And then also there's a line of sight version. And the gist of it is, I have a location where I am going to be able to bring fiber to backhaul 5G, but I cannot do it right away. So via different options of backhaul, I can basically build it, get it to work, and get it ahead of the fiber. And I think, and again, I'm happy to be corrected because I learned so much from you dudes, but I think this is new. Like before, it was always, I cannot get backhoe, forget about it, end of story, talk to me in a couple of years, to now it's like, okay, we have a couple of ways of doing it, and here's the build, here are the faces, and we'll get fiber there. So that's important for, Leonard, to your point of private networks. These private networks are not going to be, like downtown Seattle or here, in the Southwest Portland, or in La Jolla. They're going to be, out in rural areas where this is needed. So anyway, I thought that was,
industrial campuses. It's going to be in a warehouse. It's going to be in a. That's where a lot of the crazy 5G stuff is going to be useful and possible.
It will be where it will be paid. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've decided who the big winner is going to be with 5G. Because David was kind of talking about it,
Don't point at yourself.
Huh?
Don't point at yourself, Rob.
I'm not. I've got someone else I'm going to show you.
Okay.
But David's right. It's not IoT. It's the smartphones. It's the apps. It's all that. Have no illusions about all this other stuff we talk about. The winner is Larry.
Really?
Larry's going to be the winner. TikTok, 5G. TikTok dances over 5G. You think I'm kidding?
You know what?
I'm so happy this is recorded.
I think I'm kidding. I'm a total Gen Z. Can't you tell?
You're like totally sleep deprived, man. I can tell.
Robbie, one cannot be accepted.
Too many
1 hour last night. But even though I'm sleep deprived, don't you guys have kids? Don't you know anybody who's like in college or anything?
Oh yeah.
What do you think all this is? Where do you think all the bandwidth's going?
Oh.
It's not going to industrial use cases. It's going to people doing dances on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but tell me I'm wrong.
No,
for real.
So I won't argue with TikTok, but also where all the bandwidth is going to go is one of these days when autonomous vehicles are safe, and again, autonomous vehicles. There's going to be a battle for the attention span of the humans in that vehicle to get them something on that screen. There's so whether it's and again, whatever the model is, that's not what I'm discussing, but the need to deliver video to that, big screen in this autonomous vehicle, that's also going to put things to the test, I suppose. No different than I've got every teenager on TikTok streaming Larry Ellison dances on TikTok.
You are so right. Because we know autonomous vehicles don't need connectivity. They have to be smart on their own. But the people in there do, and they're going to demand a 100-inch Samsung flat screen in their car, streaming Netflix and YouTube. And they need to play Fortnite.
Yep.
On some platform, maybe not others.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Rob!
I won't be playing Fortnite on this.
Okay, I'm gonna have to cut this guy off. He's out of control. I'm out of coffee. What are you gonna show?
They're gonna be playing Fortnite with this.
Out of control. You're unhinged, dude.
You think I'm out of control, but I'm the visionary that everybody needs.
Yeah. Friggin', he's like the dark wizard of IoT.
It's true.
You're like Sauron,
The eye that's looking at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sensor eye, LiDAR.
Exactly.
You're the evil LiDAR eye. Okay, we have to cut this dude off. Oh, this is just a disaster.
Disaster.
Okay. Hey, to our IoT Coffee Talk listeners, thanks for tuning in. I apologize on the behalf of everyone here.
Did Apple launch anything like this yesterday? I don't think so.
You got to put the iPods
for
on
you.
there, dude.
What did they say was the number one game in the world that's running on the iPhone?
Candy Crush?
Yeah. I didn't see anybody flying down in parachutes with guns out in Fortnite. Nice try.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, hey, remember to subscribe, like this episode if you're so willing or bold enough to do that. And just follow us on IoT Coffee Talk, and we'll see you next week, I suppose. Right?
Cloud gaming over 5G. Make sure you buy a device that lets you do that. Not all of them will.
Oh, we're in trouble. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.